Oh, baby, we got a lot to talk about. If the sound, I want to make this clear. If my sound is either a little too loud or a little too low, I'm sorry. I've been doing some adjustments to my audio. Unlike the last time when my battery just died, I've been working on the audio just a little bit. So if it sounds a little bit off, I'm sorry. I apologize. I'll own it. You guys can tell me below. But, oh, baby, we got a lot to talk about. And I think that might be the title because I've been thinking about what the hell am I going to call this thing? We got a lot to say. This was awesome. I don't want to say this is awesome. That's just not my way. I tell you how it is. I don't know what just Alex is going to say. I don't know what JD is going to say. I don't know whatever anyone's going to say. I'm just going to tell you how it is. There was a lot in this show. And I'm not going to lie, I was quite worried because of how the build has been for most of what's going on. I knew the matches were going to be fine. There's no lie about that. The matches were going to be all pretty much fun. But the storytelling was a major issue for me personally. And when it comes down to it, they didn't correct all of the problems with the storytelling. But at least they did try to correct them. Now the question to me that I pose to myself, and I'm also posing to you, well, that doesn't make any sense. It's late at night, guys. What I'm trying to say is this. I posed this question to you because I posed it to myself while I was watching this pay-per-view. What next? Because for several things that went on in this show, this pay-per-view, you wonder where they're going to go with it next because they got to build off of this going into the next pay-per-view or at least make it look good for Dynamite and Rampage. They have to. That's my question. I pose myself and I don't really know. I'm posing it to you. Now, kickoff. We got the Lucha Brothers and Mark Briscoe versus, well, Smart Mark Sterling's boys of Josh Woods, Nice, as well as Ari Daivari. Now, do I care about Daivari? No. Do I care about Nice? No. Haven't seen him much on regular Dynamite or Rampage much at all. And Josh Woods, the only reason I care at all is because he's been dealing with Mark. That's it. So I really wasn't going into this really caring much. Now most people would say, dude, you need to watch Dark and Dark Elevation. No, I don't. Because I don't get the time to watch it. And on top of that, let's be honest, the numbers that are on Dark Elevation are good, but they're not great. Dark and Dark Elevation are not big numbered shows. So I'm not going to take the time to do it when I already got enough on my plate. I have to do NXT, Dynamite, Rampage, SmackDown, sometimes Raw, and I do Impact Wrestling, and sometimes if I have the time, try to do NWA, maybe MLW, which I can't anymore because now they're on Reels when they have Fusion and Underground. And I'm going to try and look for another show to look at. Maybe I might go back to Reality Wrestling. I don't know yet. I don't have the time for all that. And who wants to see a review of something days late? So this is what you get. Now, was the match bad? No. The person that was the most over is Mark, and he's still holding one of the ROH tag titles. This is what I'm thinking. Eventually, he's got to drop that damn title. Unless they're going to retire it and bring out new titles, that title must be dropped. And I know that it's way too soon for him to do that. He can't drop the title now. He can't. Or they can't just retire it yet. They can't. Right now, they just went on Honor Club. And now they're actually starting to, what, is it this week? That just happened or next week? I think this or next week, they're starting up in Honor Club. So they don't really need the tag champs yet. But eventually they have to do a tournament where Mark's going to have to be the one to present the new titles to the new tag champs. It's got to be done. So seeing this with the titles, I'm not surprised, but I am knowing he's got to drop it eventually. Now, do I believe the Lucha Brothers and Mark could become the next Trios champions? Yes. Because I do believe they got enough. They got good chemistry together. They got good charisma together. And Mark is very loved. I mean, right now as it stands, people love them boys as it was. But now that Mark's by himself, and even though he'll work with the Lucha Brothers, or maybe he'll work with the Young Bucks, or maybe he'll work with Kenny Omega, he may work with anyone. People just love him because of what he's gone through, losing his brother the way he did. And as I said, is a little more than just losing his brother. He has to take care of his two nieces who are still stuck in the hospital that are racking up tens of thousands. You know how much money those two are going to be racking up monthly? 5 to 10,000 a month, maybe. That's just bare minimum. They may be already racked up maybe 100,000 or more, easily. Being in the hospital where they are, he's got to make that. He's got to make this for his nieces, next to his own children and his own wife. He's got to make this to be able to help take care of those two, because there's no way the savings that his brother made is going to be enough to cover for all that medical and all of the therapy and all the problems they're going to have later in life from those injuries. I'm just saying, and I'm not trying to bring things down, but he's got to go up like this. And they're going to know, and believe me, they know that. That's the reason why I think he's being groomed to do the trios, then he'll do singles, and that's going to really be helpful for his family. And I'm glad about that. That's what I believe that's going to happen. He's going to work in the trios. They're going to win some titles. They'll eventually win it. Then he'll drop it, maybe go to the tag with somebody, win that, and then he'll start going after a major title by himself. That is what I do believe is going to happen with him, unless they're just going to drop him, which I don't think they will. I'm just saying. And that is the main pre-show show. Now, was the pre-show right? It was fine. It was just like any ordinary pre-show. Opening, Ricky Starks with a Chris Jericho. A little bit of what Jericho used to do in WCW. He used to open the show. I think he kind of gets a little off on that. Let's be clear. Chris has closed the show. He's been the main event more than a few times. So opening the show was probably something he didn't really have a problem with. He's done both positions. He's done the beginning, he's done the middle, he's done the end. And I think he kind of likes just a little bit opening the show to see how he sets the tone, because he is kind of narcissistic. Let's make it clear. Chris is that way. Was this a good match? Yes. It wasn't bad. The JS was banned from ringside. Nobody was allowed there. And look, was it interesting to see Magic Daddy getting pissed off along with I got something to say when it comes to this RJ, the guy who interviews. But seeing Magic Daddy getting angry, asking RJ to grab his nipple and tell him, did you notice something? Do these feel hard? He says, no, they don't. Yeah, because I'm not out there. I'm just, really? But that's how it went. Now, I'm just going to say this. Now that Chris has 3 losses this year, the question is where they're going to go with him. And now that Ricky's won, the question is going to be where they're going to go with him. I really want to see him go into the TNT title picture. He needs to go there. He needs to go there. He needs a championship other than the FCW title. I'm just saying. Now, the next was Jungle Boy versus Christian. Guys, I'm going to tell you this. I was not really sure about this Buried Alive match being here instead of being at the main event. Because sometimes you pile too much crap into one show. Everything loses their shine. But I will say that it was done very well. It had enough time. Jungle Boy looked good. Christian looked good. Wearing a black top. Don't know why. I guess he didn't want people to see, I don't know. But let's give it to you simply. As you see, whatever images I got, it got pretty rough. Eventually, Concerto was given to Christian. Flat out, no questions. He finally did it. Jungle Boy did do it, and he couldn't believe that he did it. He seemed shocked. I think I got a shot of it in my face, that he actually finally went there and actually tried to destroy Christian and actually gave him a concerto, knowing that he don't handle things like that very well. Closed the casket, it was over. The way the casket worked, not only did you get in, you got dropped and then you got smoke. But wasn't there supposed to be an actual burial where he's supposed to take dirt and throw it onto the casket? He didn't do that. I don't know why. Maybe it was due to the fact that this show had so much in it. They probably didn't have enough time, and they probably told them, look, You're going to have to go for the match, but don't try and bury him afterward. Don't try and just shovel it on top once the casket shoots down into the ground. Well, into the set, as you would say. I'm just, haven't seen my Cairo. I'm a little stiff, but that doesn't keep me from making sure you guys got entertainment. I hope you guys can hear me, but simply put, I do believe there might have been a little constraint here due to the fact of what was going on. Now, before we get started, I really do want to talk about RJ. I don't know what it is about this guy. I'm not feeling him. He was trying so hard to be entertaining. He became unentertaining. Everyone else was entertaining. But he just felt like he was trying way too hard. Honestly, guys, when Adam Cole came out to talk about the, AEW Access, I didn't have a problem with him talking. But then when he started talking about smelling, he smelled great. And that's the Adam Cole from RJ. And he says, don't say that and don't do that again. And when the segment was over, you see him go, or better yet, I think I got a shot of it where he's in the back of Adam Cole. It's in my face. What the fuck was that? It was like he was trying so freaking hard to be entertaining. He became cringe. Guys, there are memes of people becoming super cringe. And that one should be a cringe meme. I don't know what he was thinking. And taking away once Tony Storm put an L on his backside. This, I don't know what it is. I'm not feeling him. You guys tell me below. Next, match 3. Trios title match. The Elite versus the House of Black. I'm going to tell you this. This is what I want. This is what I want personally. Kenny Omega versus Buddy Matthews. Kenny Omega versus Malachi Black. That's what I want. That's definitely what I want. Kenny Omega could easily go up against Jay Lethal, and I will get to that match, the Fatal 4-Way, in a minute. But honestly, this was a damn good match. The opening scene, Buddy Matthews going up against Kenny Omega, and pretty much Excalibur made it very clear that it's true that many people compared the two because they're so athletic. They have a lot of things similar in some ways of how they work in the ring, and you saw it. They both were not exact because Kenny's more of a striker and Buddy is more of a ground and pound guy because of the V trigger and because of the rolling elbows that Buddy gives. But you could tell the difference, and you could feel they got chemistry. Then Malachi Black got into the ring. That one is a match I must see. Not because of the... Let me give it to you like this. Malachi Black has a lot of charisma and a very, very unusual personality. He follows more Dutch myths and legends. They're demons. They're not angels, but they're monsters and they're demons. That's one of the reasons you see the tattoos on his body. That is a type of tattoos that come from Dutch history and culture, which is very interesting. Seeing him go up against Kenny Omega, I truly believe that since they're both very strong strikers, legs and arms, that will be very interesting. Both of them can talk pretty well in the mic. Both of them can go very well in the ring. This is something I would like to see an actual story built around. I'm not like JD and Just Alex is saying, oh, put Kenny Omega and Malachi Black in the ring. What? Once a day, every day. Every day. Put them in there every day. I'm not like them. I want a story to go with their once a day, every day. Or all day long. I want a story. I don't want just a match. And their match was very good. I had no problem seeing it. But then I was pleasantly surprised that the Elite did not win here and that the House of Black won here. Finally, they gained something. Seeing that at one point during the match, you see Julia Hart interjecting herself and gets a V trigger from Kenny Omega, and Kenny looks at her and goes like, It wasn't that he hit a woman. He's going like, well, he's one of them. Who gives a damn? I was fine with that. I'm glad it happened because it needed to happen. In WWE, they never go there. In Impact, they do go there. So AEW doing it, there's no problem with it either. So I'm glad it happened. I'm glad Julia got nailed. I am glad to see the House of Black is getting something. But I gotta also interject the opposite side. Not everyone is gonna be happy seeing the House of Black winning and the Elite losing, because they're gonna think they're gonna hot potato those titles like they have been with the TNT title, which I'm gonna talk about, I believe, in a few minutes, not now. I'm telling you right now, I don't feel that yet when it comes to the trios yet, because of what happened with the best of 7. So seeing the House of Black lose and they're gonna challenge again with the Elite is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, the match that I really did not care about, but I will take nothing from the match quality. I just didn't care about it because of how the story was. And this is the women's treat. Well, look, I still love Saraya. Jamie Hayter's my girl. I love me Jamie Hayter. Her music is one of the best out of all the women that I love. And Ruby, she ain't bad either. All three of them can wrestle. All three of them look good. They got great characters, but there's no story. The originals have no faction. The outsiders have no factions. It's only 2 women for the originals and 2 women for the outsiders. Now, of course, I know what happened with Ruby, and I'll explain in a minute. But they needed more women before they even went into this match to make it feel legitimate. They needed a Hiroko Shida. They needed a Ryo. They needed a Iram Sakura. They needed maybe a Sunita Deeps. They needed a Madison Rain or Ashley Rain. They needed more women in those factions before they went to this match. And there was nobody. Hell, Rebel wasn't even there, either because she's hurt or she's not in the company, or they just left her out of this because they wanted to make it just 2 and 2, which was dumb. We got this match, which was a good match. It was a hard-hitting match. A couple of times you kind of got worried about Saraya because of how she landed. And I kind of do get a little worried about her in 2 respects, too. The first one, how she lands for her neck. Now, she's very careful. She talked in Chris Van Vliet. Yeah, she's very, very careful how she lands and takes care of her neck. So she knows what to do. The second thing is not about her neck. It's about those lovely boobies of hers. Because if you've never heard, women that have saline implants, breast implants, they can pop those bitches. It happened with Charlotte Flair. It happened with ODB. And due to the fact that, well, Saraya is not a big-chested woman, her boobs are about a C cup, they have to be very, very careful with her. I'm very worried that she can't do any hardcore matches where there has to be any type of sharp objects, because even though she has skin over her boobs and those saline bags, because she's not using silicone, she wouldn't use that. It does worry me she could pop her boob. Anybody could pop it. I'm just kind of worried. I don't want her to have her boobs being like this and the C cups, and they do look nice and juicy, and then go like what happened with ODB in a match. I believe she was up against Gail Kim, and one of her boobs went flattened out. She lost her titty. Flat out. That was not a good thing. But that's just me, guys. Tell me below. In the end, after about, 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes easily, we had the match being over, and it was Jamie Hayter who retained. And I thought it should have been, I didn't think Jamie would lose, but I did believe they were going to do something special with Ruby or with Saraya. And then they did, because after it was over, Ruby Soho sat in the corner, and I believe I got a shot of it into my face, and you could see Jamie Hayter getting beat down and Britt Baker getting beaten down. They're getting beaten down, but then Ruby decides, you know what, I'm going to make a decision, and I'm going to be with the originals. Drives out Saraya, drives out a very lovely looking, but over makeup Toni Storm, because she doesn't need that much makeup. She's actually very beautiful without it. But they get driven out, but in the end, you finally get what you want. Ruby does make a real choice. She attacks Jamie Hayter, and she attacks Britt Baker. She attacks Britt first, then Jamie second. Then spray paints them. So now she chose the outsiders. The question is going to be, who's going to be on the originals now? Is it going to be Hiroko Shida? Is it going to be Rio? Is it going to be, who else would it be? I don't think Athena's going to be there because she is on the ROH roster and she's not going to be seen that much anymore. But they would probably bring in maybe one of the trainers in there to join, unless they're going to bring back Rebel, which she doesn't wrestle barely at all, especially after she really hurt herself one time, I think about a year and a half ago. I think she might have tore ACL, I think. But they're going to have to bring someone in on the original side. Who? Statlander? Maybe they'll bring back Statlander. Maybe they'll have the TBS champion, Miss 15, what is 51-0 or 52-0? Jade Cargill do something. Because she's been there for a while. Maybe they'll throw her at that. Because she needs something. She's doing absolutely nothing on Rampage. I'm just saying. Now, let's get to the Fatal 4-Way right now. I'm going to do that now. And I'm skipping around. I'm skipping the TNT title and the Texas Death Match. I want to do this one now. Guys, I want to tell you this. When it came down to it, I thought only two teams could win. That was either Orange Cassidy or Danhausen, or it was going to be Lethal and Double J. Because of the way they teased it, I was worried they may actually go there. They did not. They let the Guns retain, which in actuality they really needed it because they needed to be legitimized. In this situation, they were. And then it got legitimized again when Dash and Cash came out, whooped some ass, and I believe Dash Hardwood got cut open. I don't know if I got a shot of it. If I do, I may insert it. But during the fight with the Guns, he got cut open, and I think right over his eye. That's a lot of blood to think. There was a lot of blood in this show, but it actually felt good to see. FTR came back, went straight for them, and started doing whatever they can to make it clear they're coming for those titles again. Now, mind you, after being gone for the amount of time they're gone, I don't exactly know how they're going to book them in Dynamite or Rampage for that matter. They need to do some booking for Dash and Cash. They need it. Because just coming in like this and rushing through it is not the wisest thing to do. And lately, AEW has not been stable. They have not been doing long-term booking. They've been going up and down like this. And I don't agree with it. So I'm worried about this type of feud. And will it really help the Guns in the end with FTR? FTR is really going to have to carry the story to make them feel legitimate. But that's just me, guys, down below. Now, let's go to the TNT title match. Samoa Joe versus Wardlow. Guys, I'm like, why? 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 Why would you let this happen? I don't understand. Wardlow, who, I'm not against Wardlow. I actually like Wardlow, but Wardlow needs to move on from this situation and go into the main title picture. I really do believe that he should go to the main title picture now. He does not need the TNT title. He needs to move on to do something else. Hell, I would love to see him work with Brian Cage and see them team up as a tag team. But since he's in a trio, he doesn't need to be in it. But we got Wardlow going against Samoa Joe. Good match, no problem. It was rough, it was tough. It was right after the Texas Death Match, which I will be getting to next, which I believe was the second best match. Well, I'll tell you which one's the first best match and the second best match for me personally. And I'll tell you the ones that everybody else would think of. But this wasn't a bad match. I don't believe it needed to be here. And then, even though it was not a bad match, Wardlow won, which now means Powerhouse Hobbs has to go up against Wardlow. Which makes no damn sense. At all. You want to know why? Wardlow needed to finish up with Samoa Joe, yes. And Samoa Joe should have just beat him. And then Wardlow will move on to something else, which he should. He should not be going after the king of television. But then you got Powerhouse Hobb, who has the Book of Hobb. I wish he had an actual book. He was with RJ, and he didn't actually have an actual book. I really do believe he needs an actual book printed up saying, the Book of Hobb, you will feel pain. I think he needs an actual object to go with his gimmick. Now, unlike when it came to Mark Henry, he didn't need it. He didn't need the Hall of Pain. He put people in it, but we're talking about the Book of Hobbs, where he would write in it. Kind of like what's going on with Apollo. And I think in this situation, it's better with Powerhouse Hobbs to have a real book that he marks and says, I'm putting you into the Book of Hobbs, who I defeat, who I destroy, and who I'll spare. That's what I think he needed. But he didn't have that. But at this point, he needs to win. He won the ladder match, which 3 refs had to hold the damn, oh my God. Guys, they put so much effort into Powerhouse Hobbs that they let 3 refs hold the ladder so he can go and reach the brass ring. And now you're going to put him against Wardlow, who just won against Samoa Joe. And obviously now you got literally a no-win scenario. Wardlow should not lose the damn title within a week. Powerhouse Hobbs should not be losing at all because you just gave him literally a moment with that damn brass ring where it wasn't 1 ref that helped him. It was 3 freaking refs that helped him. If you don't let him win, it looks even worse. So you got Wardlow and Powerhouse Hobbs who both now need to win, and you're going to choose one. Unless you DQ the match where Wardlow retains the damn title and maybe Samoa Joe interferes, that is the only way out of it, and that is a cop-out. It's a cop-out. For me personally. But you guys tell me below. The next match is my favorite match. I don't know about anybody else. This is my favorite match of the night. And that's... I literally had to stop my camera because there was about 2 minutes left. And I did not want to be interfered with. I just cut it now. You got the Texas Death Match. Guys, it's not like I haven't seen a death match before. I have. And it's not like I haven't seen a really good death match. I have. This one was my favorite because the story made sense. You got Hangman Page getting concussed by pretty much Moxley. Then he comes back, angry that Moxley mocked him and joked around, saying he shouldn't be back at all, wanting to prove that he is worth another look. Then he gives Moxley a concussion, hurts him for a couple of weeks. He comes back, he's mad, and now they come up with this match where clearly both of them could easily win, and it didn't matter who won as long as the story in the ring covered with the story they've already built outside the ring. The fights they had, the segments they talked about, seeing that Moxley, after the match he had about a week before, he was still bleeding from it. He didn't give a damn that he was literally bleeding everywhere. He wanted to do his promo and showed how truly dedicated he is. And understand, and I am going to critique this match, the major issue I have was the blood. Not because I didn't like the blood. It actually worked perfectly fine here and it was necessary. But it became very, how can I say this? At one point, it's perfectly suited for this match. And it was needed. But the other half, for me personally, it's mediocre. You know why? Because Moxley for months, and months, and months, and months, and months, has been bleeding every time he gets in the damn ring. It's almost every match he's done that he's bled. And because he bled so much, the match quality with the blood that was needed, that should be here, dropped to here. It wasn't like it dropped to middle. This is where it was supposed to be. This is where it was. This is middle. You got my point. He shouldn't have been doing so much matches where he always bleeds. Now, mind you, if he accidentally gets cut open or something happens, but it was every week. And that really messes up the mystique of Jon Moxley, the only person other than some of the most hardcore wrestlers there is that should not be bleeding all the time. So that was the major problem with the match for me personally. But the rest of the match was fine. The barbed wire was well done. How can I say this? Seeing that Moxley decided he really wanted to mess up the right hand of Hangman Page, put 2 bricks in the ring. Here, smash. Something you don't normally see, which was actually quite good. Also, you see them using tables, of course, using a barbed wire table, fine. Seeing that when you see how Hangman Page reacted as he got nailed so hard, he was completely dazed. Great. This, for me, was the best match of the night because of, for me personally, the match quality. The story was perfect, but it's not the best story of this pay-per-view. You know which one it is. You know which one it is. And it is the best match when it comes to the story. Here, the best match is this one. Flat out, for me personally. And in the end, Paige wins. And now, it doesn't mean that the story is over, but the question is going to be, how is the story going to evolve? Like I said, how are things going to evolve now? Does this now mean you're going to have Moxley and Paige work together? Before, they're going to still fight one another, but Moxley and Paige, they'll still probably fight one another, but eventually they'll be forced to work together. And they'll probably be a tag team. And I think that might happen. Sorry, guys, there are people running around. But that's what I think will happen eventually. But I don't know, you guys tell me below. Do you believe Moxley and Paige will work together? I'm just saying. Let's see. Is that everything? Oh, almost forgot. Hangman Page changed his music. I don't know if this is permanent or not. It might just be temp. But if it's permanent, it was... I like the older one. But that's just me because of Stoney. The horse that he rode in on about 1.5 years ago before he passed away. Went to the Great Spirit. But that's me. But the song wasn't bad. But the question is it now his current music? Or is this just a one-time thing? I'm just saying. Let's see. Anything else? Let me see if I'm forgetting anything. No. That's it. Boys, we are now on the end game. The 60-minute Iron Man match. MJF versus Bryan Danielson. The best match story-wise. Not just... Well, here's... For me personally, this was the Texas Death match. This was the Iron Man match. It was very close. The only reason that the Iron Man match is lower than that is because I'm rating it for its story, not just for its in-ring quality. Because the in-ring quality was very, very good. But I do believe that the Texas Death match was just slightly better for me personally. But the story, if you have to look at the story, it's this. And this is correct. The Texas Death match with their story was not as good as this one. MJF's story with Bryan Danielson is way bigger, way stronger. And that is the reason why it is the best match, period. But I do have my favorite. I am still rating it the way it is. The way the story was written was very well done. Seeing that MJF's real life was actually interjected into this compared to Moxley and to Hangman, which did have actual real life because of what happened to it. How can I say this? The concussion that Hangman got was very dramatic. And he went away and came back. But MJF's real life, where his fiancée left him, it was publicized. And that since we're nearing the point where 2024 is going to roll around and we're going to wonder if he's going to leave or not, is always going to be there. The concussion story will not stay there permanently. It's going to eventually fade away. This will not. That is the reason why this story is different compared to Moxley and Page. Moxley and Page, eventually their story will drop, not because people won't still remember the concussion, but it's not as important what's going to happen with MJF by 2024 when his contract fully expires, because he got an extension. It is, well, I think it's not extended. I think it will expire in 2024. So this is still going to be ongoing all the way into next year. So that's the reason why this is even more stronger than that match. The story was pretty good. How they worked the ring were, as the time ran, both of them tried to outmatch each other. You see Bryan Danielson going like this, messing with MJF. MJF making sure he is healing it up. That boy is one of the best heels in the business. He reminds me of Bully Ray. Let's make this clear. There's only two really good heels that is currently in pro wrestling. And I know people are going to say Roman Reigns. No. He's a current day heel. We're talking about old school heels. Bully Ray and MJF. Those are the only two I can tell that maintain how they act outside the ring as well as inside the ring. They are that good as heel wrestlers. And as you watched the match and you saw that MJF jumped into the crowd, he gave attitude to people. Hell, he took either soda or juice from his own mother, threw it onto that child who had an AEW belt. That is old school heel 101. You want to make people mad? Do shit like that. That is why MJF is so damn good. In his age of nearing 27 now, I think he's nearing 27 now. He's that damn good. Very well polished, well developed. And this went on throughout most of the night. And then you saw MJF doing something weird, drinking a lot of water. Now, mind you, it's nearing maybe 25 to 28 minutes when he started going, drinking water. I thought he was going to start showing blood out of his mouth, because sometimes this could be used in the story where MJF is not able to get enough spit and he wanted to really make the story mean something. He could have got a little tab that had that red blood stuff in it, and he could have had it spill out and maybe get more sympathy. But that didn't happen. He just kept drinking water, and then the fans started chanting H2O. I think he went and got water not once, twice. I think he got it 4 times. 4 or 5 times he got water. He got a little bit of water, drank it, threw it. A little bit of water, drank it, threw it. And throughout that match where blood was shown, not much different than the Texas Death Match, it worked very well. The blood for both of them was done exceptionally well. Now, MJF decided when they were like nearing halfway, the only chance he had to beat Bryan Danielson, because Bryan Danielson could get a fall on him, nut him, take the hit. And Bryan Danielson went from 1 win to 2 wins. And after he nut shot him, he got 2 wins. So they tied it up 2-2. Eventually, Bryan Danielson got a win, and MJF got a win. And by the time it was near the end, the crowd were going nuts. They loved it. It reached a point where I didn't know who was going to win. I should take that back. I did know that MJF, it would be foolish to drop it to MJF, but it did make sense if he did to Bryan Danielson. It would make a lot of sense, because I thought of one person, because they kept talking about best in the world, CM Punk coming back. And I know there's some people say, oh, no. Yes. Because they kept talking about best in the world and hinting it so much, CM Punk will come back. And I thought the person that might be the best to deal with CM Punk would be a Bryan Danielson, because they've dealt with each other years before, they know each other, or it could be MJF because of the story they have as well. So I wasn't sure. But I thought MJF, I wouldn't be surprised if he kept it, but I wouldn't be too angry if Bryan did win, because maybe CM Punk will come back, because they kept hinting the best in the world so much. In the end, they ran the clock down 3-3. They gave MJF oxygen, and Tony Khan made the call to Tony Schiavone, who got to the ring, went over to Justin Roberts and told him that Tony Khan will not allow this. It's not going to be a draw. We're doing sudden death. Everyone was screaming happy. The match continued. MJF had the title at one point in his hands, and the ref backed up and said, go ahead. You do this, because the ref saw me and said, try it. Go ahead, do it. You do it, you lose the title. You lose the damn title, so go on and right ahead. And he gave the title to him. He pulls out the ring. He whacks him. I believe he whacked him. And you thought he was going to get pinned. He didn't. Eventually, the ref was able to take the diamond ring away from MJF. But there was no tap. Unlike when the time ran out, and it was just after. Maybe a second and a half to 2 seconds. MJF tapped. There was no tap here. He held on. In the story of the match, you got Bryan Danielson's left arm and left elbow as the focus for MJF. But MJF was his left knee, which he likes to do a lot. MJF always liked to use his knee, like his left arm, usually his left. He always liked to say his left knee is always messed up. Sometimes his right, but I think it's his left most of the time. That's what the focus was for either one of the wrestlers. And it was done well. In the end, you know what caused it? The end was you literally, after the Busaiku knee, no, not the Busaiku knee, it was the rope break, because he was in single leg craps a lot. That's what caused him to do the fourth, would have been the fourth win for Bryan Danielson, but the time ran out. You got, and I do believe I got a shot of it, you got MJF with the oxygen tank that was under the ring, whacked a Bryan Danielson in the face, and in the end, it was the label lock being put onto Bryan Danielson, where he had no choice. He had been stunned already. He was messed up, and MJF put the label lock on him, and eventually he tapped. And Bryan Danielson lost. Very well done. A very good story. And I will say, for all around, it was the best story. It had a very good match with a very, very strong story. The best match of the night for me was the test. I'm trying not to sound biased here, but I'm going by how the match qualities were. The Texas Death match and the Iron Man match was very close, but I am seeing that the best overall match is that one, even though the match for the Texas Death match was slightly better. But that's how I feel about it. And I hope you enjoyed this review. Please give me a comment. This is going to take me a long time to edit, to put in whatever images I can. I really hope you enjoy this. Peace.